Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Treptalks. This is the show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Mehdi Kajbaf to the show. Mehdi is the co-founder of a business called Matboard and More. Matboard and More makes framing your art easier than you think. And today I'm going to ask Mehdi a few questions about his entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that he has used to start and grow his business. So Mehdi, thank you so much for joining me today at Trep Talks. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, and I'm excited to be here.
So, when I was looking at your website, I was thinking, this is really such a great example of a, niche business. You hear quite frequently riches in the niches. And that's what I was thinking when I was looking at your business. So anybody who does not know what exactly a mat board is it really just a kind of a picture frame?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, like what people first come to mind. They think it's a picture frame. It's not the frame itself. The frame is what everyone knows. That's the wooden or the plastic or the metal on the outside. The mat board is the inside border. So in between the frame and the photo, the mat board is there, and it just adds, more color, more flavor, and it makes the picture pop out.
So it's basically kind of the gives you some sort of a design to your picture or art,
Yeah, here, you know
or
what? Let me just easiest ways with a photo, right? So this is, yeah, I was telling them, well, I don't know if you can see the focus here. I'm a Leaf fan, so my wife actually made this for me. So it's kind of hard. I guess it's grainy. It's only showing me, but that's the frame. That's the mat. That's the inside
okay.
mat, and that's the art. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
But you're selling the frame also, right? Or is it just the inside part that you sell?
We do the whole thing, the whole package, but we started with just mats, and frames came much later.
Okay. So as I was saying, this seems like a pretty niche business. Can you share a little bit about the story, how you got the idea, and what really motivated you to start a business?
So I can't take credit for the initial seed idea because this came from my partner. So the business is three partners: myself, my brother, and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law has been framing since he was, I think, like 6 years old back in Iran, from a kid. He used to work in his parents' frame shop, and he's always been around matting and framing. When he came to Canada, emigrated here, his first job was to open up a frame shop, right? So he's been in the industry forever, and he noticed, I give him credit for that he noticed this need for custom mats, right? And so that's where the genesis of the idea started. And then my brother helped develop with him the website, and it was very, very different when we first started. And then I came in, shortly after they got it going, and I've been focused on the marketing and the business side of it. So where it all began was from his, youth and his experience and his understanding of the industry, identifying, like you said, a very niche kind of need. And it was really good to focus in directly on that custom matting part. And I can remember the day that my brother sort of showed me the website, and it was just like, it was a very, very simple wizard. But I honestly, like, and this is something that maybe other entrepreneurs might, resonate with them. I kind of saw my future in that moment, even though it was just a very simple website. And honestly, I knew very little about matting and framing. I was familiar with the industry because they've been working on stuff forever. But I saw that and I said, okay, there's something here. This is actually, my future, our future. And, from that day, like I just got into it 100%.
How long ago was this?
That was in 2012, just the
Okay.
fall of 2012. So
So
more than
more
10
than 10
years.
years now. Wow, okay. And I'm assuming that your brother realized um, that people were asking for this mat or custom mats again and again, and so uh, he realized that there's a market for this, and we should fill the gap for this market.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's actually something that in hindsight is like very obvious to me, right? Anytime you have a sort of strange piece of art or something you want to frame that's just, it's not a standard size, you know? it becomes very difficult. You think you're going to go to a frame shop, Michael's, whatever just comes to mind, but it's so expensive and such a pain in the butt. So that was the genesis of the idea. And, of course, he kind of understood that better than anyone because he'd seen that come up again and again.
So this was kind of a progression of what he was already doing. So this wasn't really like, I have a new idea and now I have to think about how to start a business. So he already had a business going, or?
Not exactly. So yeah, he was in the framing industry, but he was mostly on the frame side. So framing is a much bigger business. Art, frames, then mats, you could say. I mean, there's many other things to it too, but selling frames. So he was working on many different projects, but it was mostly focused on frames and art. The mat board is kind of like it's overlooked. You don't even know what it was, right? You've seen them a billion times. Every day you probably walk around, almost every frame has the mat. So he was in the industry, of course, but the specific aspect of like custom matting, that was what was new and a little bit different.
Okay. And right now, can you share a little bit more about your product? Like, are you really just selling the mat boards, or are you selling other products? Is it really just like different?
So we started with the mat board, like I said, and at the beginning it was, there was only like a few different types of mat boards, and what differentiated them was the color and the size. My first job when I got into the business was to find customers, talk to customers, identify what their needs are. And so artists became a huge segment. I'll be honest with you, we weren't really sure who was going to need these custom mats when we first started. We had an idea that, wholesalers, big businesses, they might want to come in and buy, large chunks. We also knew people in their homes might have like some art that they need to frame. And we also knew artists would be like a big segment of it. So when I first started working with Matboard and More and kind of understanding where I could fit in, I targeted artists. So Twitter wasn't what it is today back then. It was it's a lot easier to kind of, talk to people. People would respond back to DMs, and as long as it was a nice place to be. Same with Facebook and, Instagram, not so much back then. But, I went in there and I found these people. And so they were like, well, hey, when we buy the mat, we also need, for example, a show bag, and we need a backing board. That's called a show kit. We didn't offer that initially. I said, okay, well, let's get some backing. Easy to do. And then it was like, well, obviously some people want frames. So we just had two frames, a black frame and a white frame, and when you get the frame, you got to get the plexiglass that goes, like the replacement of the glass. And you get the hangers. And that's pretty much actually all we have. Even today, it's mats, backing, plexiglass, and frames, but we just added more styles, more colors. But if you think about what what the product is, a mat board is a very customizable product. So, is an 8x10 mat the same product as an 11x14? Is a conservation that's 16x20 the same as one that has, maybe 2 openings or 3 openings and different core colors? It's very customizable. And I think that's the beauty of what our website allows. You can pick and choose and get exactly what you want. Nobody else does that. Even today, nobody else does that.
So basically, someone who's doing like any kind of project, and they have a frame, and they realize we need this mat board, so they would basically go on your website and find a size that's probably a little bit larger than the frame that they're looking for, and then they would at home cut it down to put it inside the frame. Is that how it works? Or
well, they don't cut it down. We give them the exact size they need, so there's no cutting involved. But you're right that some people have their own frames, and that's another unique thing. Let's say you have, one standard frame. Well, there's lots of different art that could potentially go in there. But what makes that possible is the mat, right? Because the mat fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people have their frames from anywhere, Walmart, IKEA, maybe they have like an old frame from their family, but the mat is the part that they can't find, right? You can't just, because people can cut their own mats, but that's a process, right? And just very few people are going to engage in that.
So I always thought that these are like just kind of like a little bit thicker piece of paper or canvas kind of a thing that's in there. What exactly is this mat board? Like, is this some sort of a special material, or?
It is a paper material, right? And it is thicker. there's so many different variations. Like the thickest ones we have are like an 1/8 of an inch, 8-ply. If you go to like a really high-end museum, you might see those, the very,
Hmm.
very thick type of mats, very bold. But most of them are like a 1/16 of an inch, which, much thinner. And that's the traditional style that you'd find. But yeah, it's basically a paper material. There's big manufacturer, Crescent essentially owns the whole industry. And then there's just varying qualities. And that's the other part of it. So you can have these conservation ones that, are resistant to light, they stay true color forever. And then you have, the cheaper ones. And then we don't sell anything that's like on the lower end, but that's the one that you'll find in like the Walmarts or whatever. The ones that come like in a frame pre-made. When you
Hmm.
go buy a frame and there's like a
Yeah,
mat that's already in there, those
yeah.
tend to be like really thin and those tend to be like pretty cheap. So we don't do those. But yeah, it's a paper product.
Okay. So when you started the business, as you were saying,
Mm.
you had kind of a hunch that, there's a market for it, and, you had some sort of a, proto website, I guess, the first version of the website.
Yeah.
And then you got involved, you said that you saw the future with this. What happened next? How did you go about uh, getting new customers? Like, was your attempt mostly to go after local businesses, local, art kind of dealers, or your effort was really to find people online and
Yeah.
bring people online to your website?
Yeah. It was definitely the second one. We're a digitally focused company. To be honest, I didn't know much about anything at that time about digital marketing. I just finished my MBA, so I had the idea about business and kind of knew that I wanted to get into entrepreneurship. I was doing, different projects at the time. I was getting very into social media. I had my own website that I was promoting. So social media at that time was where I started, went on to Twitter and Facebook, etc. I remember like, communicating with these artists and basically they knew more than I did at that time about, what the mats are and what they need and what they were looking for, and I was giving discounts and just sort of sending them stuff as much as I could, just to giving them products, giving them away for free, just to get some feedback and to get some understanding. So that was sort of like the first part, and people gave positive feedback, and people were excited about the idea of getting these custom mats. They wasn't really anywhere to get them, like there wasn't a lot of places to get them, especially online.
Hmm.
So that was kind of the beginning, and then the next level was the Google Ads, and this is where I remember things changed because my brother, he's the one who's a tech guy, right? And he was like, well, we want to market this, and I know a guy, and he's gonna charge us, $2,000 a month, and he's gonna do like Google Ads for us. And I was like,
Hmm.
well, hold on, I've never done this before, but I'll do it for free. I'll figure it out.
Hmm.
$2,000 is a lot for you guys, just starting the business, and that's what I did. I just went and I read all the different Google stuff. I didn't know anything at the time. I knew about analytics, but I didn't know about the ads. And that's kind of one of the things with entrepreneurship that I think, I would just give like a little bit of advice to people. Don't be afraid about what you don't know, right?
Hmm.
Don't necessarily, it may seem overwhelming, like Google Ads for someone who's never done it, especially back then. Nowadays, honestly, things are so much easier. There's resources for anything that you want to find. There's a million resources, right? But,
Hmm.
but it's not, don't be intimidated by the things you don't know. That's like the exciting part, right? To learn and to challenge yourself. So I jumped right in, and we got a sales like very early on. Not good conversion rate, mind you.
Hmm.
We probably had to spend $100 to get one sale, and we're losing,
Hmm.
almost all of our money on that one. But we
Hmm.
got a sale, and then we get
Yeah.
another sale. And at the beginning, what you're paying for is not just the revenue and the purchases, but you're getting traffic to the website. You're seeing how people use the website. And that's where I loved. Like, I remember in that first 2 years, I would say, it was a constant stream of pay for traffic, talk to customers, get feedback, check Google Analytics, iterate, improve, iterate, improve. You want show kits, you want show bags. Okay, you want this color, this wizard doesn't work, redesign it. And that was it. And it was just constant little incremental improvements. And I think it took about 2 years where we then were basically in a bit of a positive state, and we were actually profitable, and profitable in the sense that we weren't really paying ourselves much, but we were moving in the right direction, and you knew for sure this was going to work. I felt like for sure it was going to work, honestly, within like the first couple months, because
Mm.
I knew the potential. Like it was a very simple website. So if
Mm.
it's converting at this basic level, once we improve it, for sure it's going to get much better, right?
So at that time, you were, of course, you started working with your brother. Were you like doing this full time? Like, what was your compensations like? Were you
Yeah, well, I mean, so
taking like a
it
cut
first
cut out of
first
every
three
sale, or
months, yeah, no, first 3 months I was just doing it because I don't know, I just like doing it. It was like it was fun. It was like a project, but once they saw that it's better to have someone in the family, I'm not gonna pay some marketing guy $2,000 a month. Like it's just at that time $2,000 a month was quite a bit, right? But I remember they were just like, hey, if you're into it, like come on board. And they were very
Mm.
generous, and they brought me in as an equal partner. Um, and it's the trifecta, right? The three of us, the business guy, the operational guy, the tech guy. So when they brought me in full time, that's when I really took off. Yeah.
In terms of so one thing that you were saying before we started the call is even though you are located in Canada, this business you're saying it's US based. I'm
Yeah.
assuming the reason for that is US is a much bigger market, much more demand, and so
Well,
is that
that
the
one
reason
is
or
that one is it's a love story, I guess you could say, because
okay.
my brother-in-law, well, he married my sister. They went there because business was better, but he wasn't doing like Matboard and More. He was just doing his own framing stuff. But because he went there to the States, my brother was visiting, and my brother had got a co-op job. He went to University of Waterloo, so did I. So his co-op job was in Atlanta, and he fell in love with his wife. So he moved to
Okay.
Atlanta, and they were there, doing many projects, actually, many of these sort of Matboard and More previous type things. Like, and so, that's how they were there. But I didn't need to be there at the beginning because I was doing it all digital. And that kind of goes back to your question earlier too, is, we didn't really go for like the local sales and that kind of stuff too much. We
Mhm.
focused much more on the digital side.
Okay. But are you selling all over the world, or North America, or just
Just the
exclusively
US,
US?
just the
Okay.
US. US market is obviously the easiest, the biggest. It's the infrastructure is incredible. I mean, I'd love to do Canada, and we've poked and prodded and tried, but one of the challenges of our business is the shipping is very critical. It's very expensive. Some of these mats and frames are very big, they're very fragile. So, if you're paying 20, $30 for a mat and you're paying $40 for shipping, it's just not a good value
Mm.
proposition. So there's actually a guy who started it in Canada, who's like basically a very similar website to us, just in Canada. But I know it's tough because the market is small. Shipping in Canada is very difficult. We're spread out over
Mm.
such a huge geographic area. In the US, it's just way easier.
I mean, that's kind of like the critical success factor of an e-commerce business, right? Like shipping is kind of, if you can find a niche or a category that has demand for the product that you're selling, and the product is small and easy to ship, I think that's kind of the sweet spot. I think if shipping is either it's really heavy or the item is like really like dimensionally large, I think that
Mhm.
makes everything a little bit more challenging. And to me, it seems like it's more of the dimension aspect that is the challenging part with your product, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the dimensional side for us. And that's just why like companies like Amazon, they're just so fulfilled by Amazon. It's a simple solution for a lot of entrepreneurs starting out. You don't have to deal with that aspect of it because the shipping is so expensive, and and it's not just the shipping of it, it's the returns, it's the damage, it's etc etc. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenge for e-commerce, and we spent a lot of time and money making sure that our shipping process is good.
Okay. In terms of this item, can you share a little bit what the manufacturing or purchasing of this item is? Are you purchasing this from like a China kind of a supplier, or do you manufacture it yourself?
Yeah, so definitely nothing from China. Everything's made in USA. All our suppliers are made in USA. We take a lot of pride in that. I mean, I'm not an American, but like
Hmm.
I take pride in the aspect of keeping things local. it's better on many levels. I think ethically it's better, but I think also, from a environmental perspective, um, plus quality as well, quality control. So for mats, essentially what we do is we buy these big sheets. They come in 32 by 40 or slightly bigger, depending on the color. And so then you take this huge sheet, we get like pallets and pallets of them from Crescent, and then we cut them down to size for whatever order, the customer wants. That's basically the simple aspect of it. So, you have these big mat cutters, you have these guillotines, various different equipment that you need that we've set up, but all of it's done in Atlanta with US suppliers.
That's really awesome. But do you think, and I'm assuming, you have the right profit margin to be able to do that, but do you think that if you bought these items or had these items manufactured in like a Chinese kind of a situation or like an overseas situation where you can save costs and pass that on to the customer, like as you said, shipping is a challenge. I mean, customers probably pay higher shipping costs and so forth.
Mm.
Do you think that that could be a value add, or do you think that, that's not worth it from?
Well, I can say specifically for us, getting mats from China, for example, of course we'd save money, but we'd lose on so many other aspects. With Crescent, I'm not going to say Crescent's like the best supplier. They have their own sets of issues, but at least, if there's a problem, they're close. They can reship it. They can help us again. I know the quality. It's a brand that, has a good reputation. And to be honest with you, I think this is one of the challenges that entrepreneurs have is like, focusing so much on cost. Whereas my view is got to focus on making money, right? They spend money to make money kind of thing. Cost always matters. And of course you want to, make sure you have a profitable business. But if you can't have a profitable business doing the right things, as in getting the right quality product, paying your people, the right amount, ensuring that when there's situations where customers have issues that, you can cover that, you can take care of them, then I feel like it's not a good business to be in. These businesses that are all about just cost cutting, cost savings, I don't like it personally. I don't like it, as I find it very frustrating to kind of deal on that level. We are always just thinking about how to reduce costs, you charge a fair amount, and if people feel like that's the value, then they'll buy your stuff, and they have for us. We are one of the more expensive ones, I will say, but people are happy to pay because they know they're getting a really, really good, high quality product with good service delivered on time. I don't want to be the low cost, and then getting from China has so many of its own issues, but fundamentally it's like, what am I gaining? That I can charge a little bit less and undercut my competitor. I'd rather not have to deal with that and just have people appreciate the quality and just know that, hey, this is worth it, right?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of bringing customers to the site, so your site, your business has been running for more than 10 years now. How has, and you took on the marketing kind of the area of the business. What have you done over the last 10 years to really to drive traffic to the website and really drive the customer acquisition? Can you talk a little bit about the marketing side of things?
Yeah, I mean, Google Ads is by far the biggest driver and the most successful for us. So, that has been consistent from day one. And I think part of the reason is our product has high intent,
Okay.
So like you said, a lot of people don't even know what a map word is. So if when we tried it, like you throw a Facebook ad and it's like, hey, order this mat from us. And people are like, what's a mat? They don't know. We made these like videos that I thought were like really cool, but they didn't resonate with people because it's not something that like you stop and you're like, oh no, yeah, right, I can just go buy a mat right now. Now frames are a little different, and I think that can be a little bit disruptive. It's like, oh yeah, like where do I get my stuff framed from? But because we're like a map board focused company, the framing side has been tough for us to like penetrate on a wide scale. People buy mats and then they'll add a frame. But and I don't, it's very competitive too. So like just doing like a pure frame campaign, our website's not built for it. It's very, very competitive. And so what I mean to say is Google has been by far the best because of the high intent nature of people searching for custom mats. So
Hmm.
Google Ads, and then of course Google SEO as well. And from an SEO side, it's a lot of focus on the technical from at the beginning. That was the biggest focus. And because it's not a very competitive industry, we tend to rank really well for the keywords that we need to, like custom mats, Matboard, etc. So we just it's mostly about on-site. For us, on-site SEO was the biggest focus. So social media, less of a deal for us, not that significant.
Hmm.
But the other side of it that's kind of interesting is that Google Ads has always, I'd say always, but up until a few years ago was pretty much exceeding our capacity.
Hmm.
So just through Google Ads and through Google SEO and then the repeat business, because that's the key part, right? When someone comes
Hmm.
to the website, they buy, customer for life.
Hmm.
So we had a lot of just organic growth that way too. And then art shows, going to art shows. But the main thing is the Google Ads and the Google SEO. And our limiting factor for so many years has been on the production side.
Hmm.
It's like it's been challenging. It's been challenging on that side, to really get all the equipment that we need. Equipment would break down. So we talk about costs. One of the things that we did really well on a cost side, again because of my brother-in-law's expertise, was his ability to source secondhand equipment, especially starting out, right?
Hmm.
Secondhand equipment, these kind of things. I know I'm taking your question in a lot of different directions. I apologize for that, but it is important to understand that um, we didn't put such a huge emphasis on expanding our marketing efforts until more recently. Because then when COVID hit, it was a whole other ball game, right? And we had so much more traffic than we could have ever expected. It was crazy. It was everybody wanted to come and buy mats at that time. So
Wow.
our limiting factor was like production, right? So the marketing stuff, we push on Google Ads, and Google Ads, is always evolving, it's always changing. Bing, similar concept. We push on SEO, and then our experiments into social media were never that successful. So COVID really made it kind of irrelevant as well to even want to do more marketing stuff. I remember
Hmm.
we literally signed a contract with an agency, and we were like, you know what, we're going to try something different. Our social media hasn't been doing well. Let's bring an agency on board and maybe they can
Hmm.
crack it for us. And 2 weeks later, COVID hit, and I had to cancel the contract with them.
Hmm.
And then we didn't need anything from a marketing side. It was just the demand was way beyond what we could handle.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's so interesting. I mean, I think from a marketing perspective, yeah, I agree. This sounds like such a unique product where, a person would not like you can't yeah, of course, I mean, you can do some sort of an education campaign to educate people on the mat course, and maybe they'll, but yeah, if somebody's specifically looking for it, then yeah, then it's important that they're able to find it. What do you think was driving the demand during the COVID? Just, people are at home and they just want to put things on the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, I think part of it is that, I mean, across the board, e-commerce was booming, right?
Yeah.
So Shopify and these other businesses, they did so well during COVID. So, you couldn't go to a store, I guess, right? So you'd go
Yeah.
online. But then also I think for sure the aspect of being at home and seeing, okay, you know what? Now it's time to do these projects. So it was a really exciting time. Um, COVID's kind of over now though, and suddenly you have a whole new set of challenges, right? So we put so much energy during that time to build up our capacity, and actually our warehouse is the best state it's ever been, right?
Mm.
So there's no longer a factor of getting these secondhand equipment and such. We have the newer equipment. We've invested in it. We have a great team. We got another warehouse. Kept getting more space, etc. So that was perfect. But the COVID sort of boom ended.
Mm.
And when it ended, it also came with a huge increase in marketing expenses.
Mm.
So, I don't know if you heard this from other entrepreneurs, but during COVID, Google Ads was actually pretty cheap.
Okay.
And then sort of towards the end of it, Google Ads became insanely expensive,
Mm.
right? So the marketing budget for we used to spend, I don't want to make numbers up, but I know it was in the range of like $10 for a conversion. That was like when we were doing really well during COVID times. And now it's more like $20 a conversion, right?
Wow.
So it's a huge increase in cost. There's many factors that go into it, but overall, Google got more expensive. And now we've sort of shifting our strategy for the first time in a while. So we're doing the social, putting more emphasis on it, but I feel like social isn't going to create conversions. It's more just brand awareness, connecting with our customers. It's more about keeping the customers we do have. That's kind of
Yeah,
part of that
yeah,
strategy.
yeah,
Although same thing that with Google got expensive, Meta and Facebook, they got expensive too. So
yeah,
they've really limited your ability to get organic reach, and you have to boost posts, etc. They've made it tough on their side.
yeah.
But the affiliate side is where the future is, I think, especially
Mhm.
for us. Um, sorry, that's my son. I don't know if you can hear him crying in the
I
background.
can, I can.
Okay, no problem. So the affiliate side is the new thing for
Okay.
us, and we really, I'm almost like embarrassed that we didn't get into it much earlier. But like I said, the COVID push made it so like marketing efforts were not really the priority. Everything was on the production side,
Okay.
right? Um,
So, I mean, to me, it seems like there's kind of a risk if your main marketing channel is Google.
oh yeah,
If as you said, the Google increased their prices and you're kind of paying double, and something happens to Google. Google decides to make changes. With the whole new Chat GPT thing and everything.
yes.
It seems like a kind of a big risk. So I think it definitely makes sense to have another channel like affiliate to kind of balance that risk. Um,
Absolutely true. That's 100% true. And that's like a big reason why we've been focusing more on the affiliate side, diversifying for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
In terms of production, so you said that this business requires some sort of an equipment. Is the equipment really to cut these pieces into the right sizes that you sell? Is that what it is? So you purchase the paper and then um, you're basically cutting it down into the different sizes or shapes and so forth.
That's right. Yeah. So there's two main kinds of cutting, right? The outside and the opening for the most part. But yeah, it's all about cutting it down
Okay.
to the right size.
And do you sell your products on any marketplaces or is it completely 100% your website?
So we're on Amazon in a very limited state. Again, Amazon is sort of low cost, right? People are trying to buy the off the shelf. It's tough to, I think it's kind of impossible actually to do a truly custom product on Amazon the way that our builder does, which is
Yeah,
nice because, if Amazon could do the same thing we do, then Amazon would win. So that ability to customize things is what allows us to differentiate from Amazon. But
yeah.
we've done Amazon and, we'll do like clearance items, sort of excess stock. Etsy is on my list, and I definitely need to try it a little bit better. I know some of our bigger competitors, they do well on Etsy. So I think that's a market that I think will be successful for us. It's on my to-do list. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Have you had, I mean, I guess your product, the the value proposition is really the customizability. So on Amazon, since people can only probably buy just some of the customs, pre-made sizes, do you receive a lot of like what percentage of your revenue
It's
is
like
Amazon?
it's basically irrelevant. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. It's not significant at all.
Um, have there been any campaigns that you've run, marketing campaigns or any other thing that has kind of given you, besides COVID, given you like better than normal ROI? Like, have there been any stories that you can share that from a marketing perspective or something that has been a kind of a success story for you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we were doing affiliate before I even really knew what affiliate was, kind of by accident, because, and I think this is like an important thing too. Don't ever underestimate the value of luck. Honestly, I
Hmm.
would say this is largely a lucky thing that happened to us right in the first days of the business. One of our biggest competitors closed,
Okay.
and there was a guy, Robert Burridge, who ordered from us, and I started speaking with him. And he's a big influential art teacher, and he used to tell every one of his customers, his students, to go to DocuMounts. And I just happened to connect with him through, I can't even remember now, it was so long ago, but I remember I connected with him. I think I found his newsletter because I was searching DocuMounts, SEO tactics, doing backlinks, and I found his newsletter that he was promoting DocuMounts. And I said, hey, Robert, we're like doing the same stuff. And so that campaign cost me nothing and really jump-started our process big time, So sometimes, it is a matter of just like a couple really, lucky / you create your own luck, but they have a disproportionately positive effect. So the Robert Burridge DocuMounts, those newsletters, his students used to just like, listen to anything he said. So when he told them, go to this company and buy these mats, a lot of them came to us. So that was really, really positive. We don't do a lot of couponing, but this is something that I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, think about, but I really think they need to think about it more, is just pricing, right? Pricing and our business is very complicated because the price is a function of, the quality of the mat, then there's a volume discount. Then when you add accessories, they have their own curves. The pricing structure on our website, back end is complicated. Front end is super easy. The more you get, the more you save. We tell you how much the price is, how much the savings is, and it's easy. And anyone can do it. You don't need like special codes. But I realize, and I'm constantly doing A/B testing to try to maximize the profit, basically, right, from these products, and find those inefficiencies. Like, can a 16 by 20 be 5% more expensive? How much more should an 18 by 24 be relative to an 8 by 10? And we started with like making everything a function of cost. If it costs this much, we add a margin, and it's that simple. But now I'm realizing like there's a lot more we can do in that regard. So we do these campaigns where, we would manipulate prices a little bit. We'd increase them by a certain amount and then give a particular discount. And just through that process, we discovered that, yes, there's like a lot of value in tweaking and adjusting. The most significant, if you can guess it, what do you think would be the most significant pricing consideration? Just like change the entire dynamic of our website. And honestly, we only really fully jumped into it like a few weeks ago.
I don't know, increase the price or something.
Free shipping. I mean,
Okay.
It had a massively disproportionate benefit.
Okay.
But the thing is, with
Makes
free
sense.
shipping, we're losing in certain ways. So it's a bit of a longer term strategy. But you have to kind of play the game a little bit, right? You give the free shipping, but then you increase the prices a little bit. Then you add a processing fee. Then it's like, what's the level where people are willing to pay a processing fee but not a shipping fee? But like, people hate shipping. You can charge them $100, right, for an item that costs $50 and say free shipping, versus $50 and $20 of shipping. The grand total isn't what they think about. Shipping has no value. Amazon's created this world where if you're charging for shipping, you're basically losing all your customers. You just can't charge for shipping. You have to find a way to bake it into. So that has a huge disproportionate effect. I wouldn't call it a marketing campaign per se, although, yeah, I mean, we did. We promoted it. We put it on Google, and it had a very, very positive effect.
That's so interesting. I mean, shipping, it makes complete sense. And I guess, if your strategy could be free shipping as in general, I think it will probably drive huge loyalty in the long run, right? People, it's like, even when I ship, it's like, if someone has free shipping, it almost relaxes you. It's like, you may add a few other items that, you don't have to. It's almost like that. I think the perception, even though they probably add the cost on the product itself,
Yes,
it's the perception that I'm not just throwing away this money for free on shipping.
it's a silly thing, but if you charge, someone more money, but there's a discount involved, they'll feel better, even though they're paying more.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I tell you, this is the kind of stuff that I never liked to do in this kind of, I like doing the other stuff where it's like, certain sizes and tweaking things and adjusting it, and trying to understand like where the true value is and making sure that, but this is like the simple strategy of just increase prices and then add a discount. It always felt very sort of cheap to me. I didn't really like it. And then like that person that I just philosophically was very against it, but it's what the customers want. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, like, and that's what they want. And that's what drives so much of, these coupon sites. And I have to do this because of these affiliate programs and these coupon sites, loyalty sites. Everything's driven by offers, right?
Yeah.
So you have to
It's,
play the game, and it really is a game, and it's a game that I don't enjoy, and I don't think but that's what people want, and that's what seems to
yeah.
work. So, I
It's
got
yeah, it's psychology. It's psychology. You mentioned A/B testing. Are you using like a certain software for that, or is it mostly manual kind of a thing?
no, I mean, in the past we used the Google Optimize, Google Experiments, that Google Ads. I'll do some A/B tests, but the main thing that we have is we have everything is built on our own custom platform. So we do A/B testing internally. No, we don't
Okay.
use any particular software. But I have to start getting even more advanced on the A/B testing and start trying different landing pages and different, we've done a lot of those things, but I'm realizing how valuable it is, and I think we need to be just testing constantly as many things as we possibly can. Another website that kind of helps with that is Lucky Orange. That's a good tool. It does like the heat maps and that kind of stuff. So you can kind of build in some A/B testing that way too.
Okay. You said your website is it custom coded, so you're not using like a Shopify kind of a solution?
No, that's right.
Do you have like a development team that manages that, or how
Honestly,
do you?
my brother's a pretty smart guy, so
Okay.
he's been able to, for the most part, single-handedly architect the website. Like it's been incremental, right? It's a project that's been over 10 years. So nothing happened in a
Yeah.
day, but yeah, he's in charge of it.
Okay. I mean, the website looks pretty good to be honest. It's easy to use, very user friendly kind of a.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, great job on that. Um, I was going to ask you about your team. So you mentioned that you have, three partners. Who else is in your business who helps you out with your business?
So the majority of our employees are in the warehouse itself, right? They're the ones who are like working on the floor, cutting the mats, packaging them, shipping them. A few of the people have been there since like day one, and very, very like, we value them greatly. And you can't have the quality and you can't have the consistency without a great team. So big kudos to them. Uh, then on the tech side, again, like I say, my brother, my partner, he essentially runs that. And we all work together, right? On the UX and the UI side, there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of testing that I do and working with him. And then I have a customer service, right? And that's a role that's evolved over time as well. The customer service used to be strictly just like answer emails and phone calls. I did it myself for the first about 5 years. It was actually a
Hmm.
very instructive time. I was talking to customers on a daily basis, but also like overwhelming, right? One of our competitors, I know the guy is still doing it, all the customer service himself.
Hmm.
So, but his role now, because the website's evolved so much, there aren't a lot of people asking, how do I do this? The website is so clear that they can just do it. But
Hmm.
it's more managing like the relationships, the engagement. Some of these customers have been with us for so many years that on the social media side, people share their art with us. He connects with them on that level, giving them suggestions, doing custom designs, unique projects. So, he's a great resource on that side, and he's also helps on the design, a lot of the email blast, email marketing. I'm trying to build him up to be a marketer. Customer service to me is under that marketing umbrella, but
Yeah.
like, less dealing with, customer complaints and more dealing with, the social, the design, and promoting us and connecting with customers that way. So that's essentially our team.
Definitely. In terms of your future vision for the business, so it's kind of like, you have a niche product or, niche business, which is doing, pretty well, seems like. Do you think of adding some sort of adjacent categories, or, over time, have you learned of like another product that customers are like, do you sell this in addition to what you're selling already, or something like that? Do you ever think about adding additional categories that can, bring up your business to the next level?
Yeah, 100% all the time. It's an interesting business because, how do you define the business? Do you define it as a matting company, a framing company, an art company? So the framing part is got massive potential. Like I said,
Mm,
a lot of people buy frames from us, and we have really great frames, but they're just adding them to their mats versus coming to us for the frame. Framing is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? It's huge. The other thing that's big is when someone wants to get the complete package. So we do the printing,
mm,
right? So printing as a product is a huge opportunity. And that's actually where most of the competitors kind of live. You know, that's what people think about is I give them my picture, they print it, they frame it, and they send it to me. Which my
mm,
brother and my brother, they created that business 15 years ago, called it Photo to Frame. Great name.
mm.
And, but it had limited success. It was kind of ahead of its time. Now there's a lot of
Okay.
companies that are doing that kind of work. So yes, we think about it all the time. Do we get into printing and making like the complete package? But it's challenging, right? And you start to dilute things and you start to confuse things a little bit.
Mm,
I think there's a lot more we can do
mm.
with the matting, the customizing of the matting. There's more we can push there. We can get our name out there even more. Uh, and I want to really make sure that we like put our energy into our core, before I start thinking too much about printing or being exclusively into like the frame side. But it's all happening kind of at the same time. We're interested in excuse me, in that growth. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And even like for us, like another product could be adding a new style of like plexiglass. Like
Mm,
that could be a new product that can drive sales, right? A new product for us is the way you cut the mat, you have different corners. We already
mm.
have like ovals, sometimes you can add different shapes. So sometimes it's like the same thing that we're selling, but just, giving more options, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting always for us, like what is our product? How do you define that
Mm.
product? Where do we fall in this sort of industry? Um, but we're very happy with where we are. I'll be honest with you. I'm very happy with where we are, and I feel like there's still a lot more growth that is available to us with the matting side.
On a personal note, I mean, to me, it seems like it's a great job, right? I mean, you don't have to go anywhere. You have job security. You can work from home. You can travel and work from anywhere. So it seems like, a perfect job. Do you enjoy the flexibility? What do you enjoy the most on a personal level?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny you mentioned that because a lot of what I saw when I remember that first day and I saw the website was my own future, right?
Mm,
I could see the success of the business, but I could also see this is my ticket to getting away from the corporate grind. I was an engineer working 9 to 5. I had a good job then too, but the freedom and the flexibility didn't exist. So that was a huge driving force for me. And I did. I traveled the world. I was part of a program called Remote Year,
okay.
where that's what people did, right? They work remotely and then they got to travel. I went to Europe. Even today, I have my family and I do love it. I'm very fortunate, very blessed. Kind of the future that I hoped and envisioned at that time is a reality right now. And that's blessed for sure.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's everyone's dream for sure. In every entrepreneur's journey, there's always mistakes made, lessons learned, failures. Over the 10 years that you've been working with this project, what comes to mind as kind of like a mistake or a failure or lesson learned that taught you something and that you can share with other entrepreneurs?
I think we just consistently, one of the challenges of Matboard and More is that we just not aggressive enough. Not aggressive enough. It's been great that we've had this sustainable growth and like it's been steady and it's been incremental. But I often think, from day one, what if, not necessarily that we, hired a marketing guy, right? Like in that sense, but what if we invested more into our equipment and our production, right? My brother actually didn't quit his day job for 2 years. So he was working at night. I don't know how he did it, but he'd do his day job and then he would do this at night. What if he'd left right away, and all the things that we learned over those 2 years, we accelerated that process. Even the stuff that happened during COVID, where we reinvested into production, got another warehouse, got more equipment. So I often feel like we've missed opportunities because we should have capitalized more on COVID. I mean, I hate to say that. I know that's a very, you know what I mean to say. I mean, from a business perspective,
Yeah.
it was a huge amount of demand that we weren't able to capture. That's lost, right? Now I have to work 10 times harder to get that same demand. So we weren't aggressive and opportunistic. And I feel like for the first time in a while, we now have the confidence, maybe. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the confidence. Maybe it's the stage we are in our lives. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure what exactly has changed. But over the last year, we've really sort of said, you know what, let's go. Like, let's take this to another level. Let's push. We're all sort of on board. And so we are, for the first time in, like, I'd say the business's history, being very aggressive versus sort of just taking things as they come. So I think that's the biggest mistake that we've consistently sort of made.
Yeah, and I was recently talking to another person, and I think they shared something similar. It's like, when you find that product market fit, then don't be timid. Then it's like that's the time to go.
Yeah, strike while the iron is hot. Push,
Yeah.
as much as you possibly can. So that's probably, I would say, like, our most significant error in thinking.
Definitely. Now I'm going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, and you have to answer them maybe in a word or so, a
Sure.
sentence. The first one is a book recommendation for entrepreneurs, and why?
There's a great book. It's called Influence by Robert, can't say his name, Cialdini. It's an older book.
Yeah.
It's an incredible book. Fundamentals of marketing. Can't miss it.
Definitely. That's one of the seminal books of persuasion and psychology. An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
I think there's a big shift. Like I said, Google Ads is so expensive. Everything has to be driven now by partnerships, user-generated content. People want to see other people using your stuff. That's where trust. That's where it's all built. So affiliate is huge now.
Awesome. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
We use Asana for all of our task management. It's free and it basically has all the features that we want. And I couldn't live without it.
Okay. A startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or tech that you think is currently doing great things?
Matboard and More. I don't know. Treptalks. Honestly, this one, I'm not really, nothing comes to mind immediately.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just skip that one.
Okay. A peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you?
I don't know if this is in the vein of your question, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, I recently watched his Netflix special, and he's just such a, like, epic figure. And in the vein of what we're trying to do right now, which is to push,
Yeah.
he's been inspirational, his messaging.
Yeah, I need to watch that one. I've been hearing some really great things about that. Yeah, for sure.
It is good.
Final question. Best business advice you ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
Action. Just do it. Like Nike's, like, people think way too much. They overthink, they ponder, they strategize. Just do it. Do the first thing, just start, work, action. Stop thinking, stop writing, stop planning, stop talking, do something, that's it.
That's definitely a great message to share. Well, Mehdi, thank you so much. That was such a great interview, and thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing your story and your business lessons. If anybody wants to check out your website, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, I mean, check out matboardandmore.com. If anybody wants to chat further, I'm sure you can provide my email. I'm happy to provide that as well. So mkajbaf@matboardandmore.com. And if you need a map board, let me know as well. Happy to help.
Awesome. Well, Mehdi, thank you again for your time today, and thank you so much for joining Treptalks. I wish you and your business all the best.
Awesome. Thank you very much.